All right, here we go. This one is going to catch some people's attention. The 2-15, Tennessee coming in at 24-8, and they're going to face St. Peter's, the 15 seed that just 2 years ago made it all the way to the Elite Eight. This one's going to be at the Spectrum Center, in Charlotte on Thursday night at 9:20. Let's talk about St. Peter's first. We typically go with the higher seed. Let's talk St. Peter's first. St. Peter's, is this a similar team to the one that made a run in 2022? And can they do it again? The short answer to that is no. The key is they don't have their coach, Shaheen Holloway. Shaheen Holloway, of course, went to Seton Hall. They played Seton Hall this year. They lost by 11. They played Rutgers this year. They lost by 30. They played one more tournament team, and that was Duquesne, who they also lost to. But let's talk St. Peter's. Is this a similar team? I'm going to say no, because clearly talent-wise, they're not as good. Clearly, they don't have the coach that's going to take them all the way. But they do have a fairly similar play style. They just don't really play good basketball in general. If they're going to have one thing, it's going to be their defense. They get you into a dogfight. They only score 65 points per game. That's a pretty bad offense. But they give up 63 points per game. That's a fair defense. They were 12-8 in conference. They didn't blow anybody out of the water. They just once again got hot come tournament time. This is a bad shooting team. However, their defense, they send double teams. They stifle passes. They get steals. They're gonna, if you don't play a sound game, they're gonna keep it close and they're gonna make it interesting. However, have they played a guy like Dalton Knecht all year? Have they played a team like Tennessee? Of course they haven't. And Dalton Knecht is one of the best players in the tournament. He averages 21 points per game. And Tennessee is one of the best offenses in the tournament. They're typically just known as a great defensive team. That is what Tennessee is known for. However, with Dalton Knecht, with a guy like Jonas Adu, this is now one of the better offensive teams in the country as well. So let's talk about how they did this year. They averaged 79 points per game. That's one of the best under Rick Barnes. And then they only gave up 68 points per game. They were 6-4 versus the top 25. Some of their best wins include they won against Alabama, they won against Auburn, they won at Kentucky. However, they did lose to Purdue. They lost to Kansas. Took some tough losses against Kentucky also and Texas A&M. They bowed out early in the SEC tournament. The first game of the SEC tournament, they went down. However, when you got a guy like Dalton Knecht, they got Zakai Ziegler in the backcourt as well. They're one of the best three-point shooting teams in the SEC. The biggest concern, I would say, if I had to have a concern with Tennessee, is when Knecht isn't playing well, this team tends to struggle. Now, that's an obvious thing. When your star player doesn't play well, you tend to struggle. But we just saw when Knecht, his shots aren't falling in a game against Texas A&M, first game of the SEC tournament, they got smoked. They lost by 20. So that goes also with their depth. Their depth is a little weak. They really rely on their starting five. So if someone doesn't play well, if there's foul trouble, if someone goes down with injury, that's a scary thing. But I think that's not something you need to worry about in a first-round game against St. Peter's. If you want to say you need to worry about it in a second-round game, a Sweet 16 game, that's where we can talk about it. But Dalton Knecht offensively averaging 21. Jonas Adu on defense averaging only almost two blocks a game. This team is complete. They're going to be able to perform well in this first round against St. Peter's. I have no issues. I don't think there's any chance they go down. Come later in the tournament with their weak depth, with their guys playing so much, I think they could struggle. But first round, give me Tennessee, no sweat. What do you think?